Deep in the heart of Western Europe's oldest forests, where oak trees have stood for 500 years and the fog never fully lifts, there exists something that watches you from the tree line. Not an animal, not a ghost. Something older. Villagers from medieval Germany to the dark woodlands of France shared the same warning, passed down in hushed voices across generations. Never approach a black cat sitting alone at the edge of the forest. Never make eye contact. Never speak to it. Because what looks back at you is not a cat. For centuries, rural communities built at the borders of Europe's great forests lived in quiet terror of something they could not explain. Livestock vanished overnight. Milk curdled in sealed jars. Children sleepwalked toward the tree line, arms outstretched, as if called by a voice only they could hear. And always, a black cat was seen sitting at the forest's edge the night before disaster struck. The local priests called it the devil's work. The wise women called it something far more ancient. They called it the kobold, not the silly miniature creatures of modern fantasy. The original kobold, the one whispered about in grimoires and coven records dating back to the 9th century, was a shape-shifting spirit of extraordinary cunning, a trickster, a predator of the soul and its favorite body to inhabit. The black cat, the ancient witch covens of Western Europe, the real ones, the ones who met at crossroads before dawn and kept their secrets in cipher, documented the kobold extensively. According to their records, the kobold was not born. It formed, condensed from centuries of human fear and forest darkness into a singular conscious entity. It had no permanent body. Its natural form was described as a small, twisted silhouette, barely visible between the trees, with eyes that reflected firelight like amber glass. But it preferred to wear flesh. The black cat was its masterwork of disguise. A black cat could move freely between the human world and the forest. It triggered superstition without causing immediate alarm. It was welcomed into barns, sometimes even into homes. And once inside, once trusted, the kobold could work its influence slowly, systematically. The covens documented 3 stages of kobold possession. First, the animal watched without moving. Second, it began appearing in dreams. Third, it whispered, not in words a waking mind could understand, but in the language of deep sleep, of primal impulse. By the 3rd stage, it was already too late. The witches who successfully confronted kobolds were not the ones who attacked. They were the ones who bargained, because the kobold, for all its malice, honored ancient agreements. A coven that knew the correct ritual, a circle of salt and ash drawn at the tree line at midnight, 3 drops of blood offered freely, could hold the kobold in negotiation. But they had to be fast, they had to be precise, and they had to never show fear, because fear was its food. Here is what the history books never tell you. The covens did not fight the kobold to destroy it, they fought to contain it. Because every time a kobold was banished from one forest, it simply migrated to the next village, to the next forest, to the next black cat sitting alone at dusk. There is a record, a single surviving page from a 14th century coven archive found in the Bavarian Alps that describes something extraordinary. One coven, after decades of battle with a particularly ancient kobold, made a permanent deal. They would give it what it wanted, a permanent vessel, never disturbed, and in return, it would protect the forest, guard the village, punish those who came to the woods with axes and fire. The kobold agreed. That village was never touched by plague, its forests were never logged. Its children always came home, and every evening, without fail, a black cat sat at the forest's edge, watching. The last known kobold sighting was reported in 1987 in a small village in the Black Forest of Germany. A black cat, unmoving, eyes like amber glass. The villager who reported it said it turned its head, slowly, deliberately, and looked directly at him. He never went near that forest again. So the next time you see a black cat sitting perfectly still at the edge of the woods at dusk, don't call to it, don't stare back, just walk the other way, And whatever you do, don't let it follow you home. If you want to know about the other creatures the ancient covens documented, the ones worse than the kobold, that story is right here. Watch it next, if you dare.